The crash and capture. The warning lights blazed across the control panel like angry stars. Dr. Chen gripped the steering column with white knuckles as his research vessel spiraled toward the violet planet below. No, 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 he whispered, his fingers dancing across the failing systems, trying desperately to regain control, but Azuratha's gravitational pull was merciless. The impact threw him against his harness, his head cracked against something solid. When his vision cleared, he found himself staring up through the shattered viewport at a sky the color of lavender and storm clouds mixed together. Every breath sent sharp pain through his ribs. A human. The voice came from above him, melodic yet edged with something dangerous. Dr. Chen turned his head and his breath caught. Standing over him was a woman unlike anything he'd ever seen. Her skin was the deep purple of twilight, smooth and luminescent. She wore armor that seemed grown rather than forged, all flowing curves and sharp edges that caught the strange light. Her hair fell in midnight waves past her shoulders, and her eyes. Those eyes were the silver gold of Azuratha's twin moons, cold and assessing. "Please," Dr. Chen managed, tasting copper in his mouth, "I'm a scientist, my ship malfunctioned, I mean no harm." She tilted her head, studying him like a specimen under glass. "I am Princess Sora, first shield of the Violet Throne," she announced, her voice carrying absolute authority. "You have trespassed on sovereign Azurathi territory. By law, you are now my prisoner." Dr. Chen tried to sit up, but crystalline bonds materialized around his wrists and ankles with a gesture from her elegant fingers. The restraints felt cool and impossibly strong. "Wait, there must be some mistake. I'm Dr. James Chen from the Earth Coalition. I'm a xenobiologist on a research mission." "Your credentials are irrelevant," Sora interrupted, circling him slowly. Her movements held a predatory grace that made his heart race for entirely different reasons than fear. "Your species is weak, your body's fragile, your emotions uncontrolled. You will serve as my personal study in human limitations." She knelt beside him, and he caught a scent like ozone and night-blooming flowers. Her hand gripped his chin, forcing him to meet her gaze. For just a moment, something flickered in those metallic eyes, curiosity perhaps, or something else entirely. "My fortress lies beyond the crystal forests," she said, releasing him and standing. "You will walk, if you collapse, I will carry you, if you flee, I will hunt you, these are the only certainties in your future." She began walking, her armor making no sound despite its apparent weight. The bonds around Dr. Chen's limbs compelled him forward, some technology or perhaps telepathy he didn't understand. He stumbled after her, his scientist's mind cataloging details even through the pain and confusion. The landscape of Azurath was breathtaking and alien. Trees of living crystal grew in impossible formations, their branches chiming softly in the wind. The ground beneath his feet felt springy, almost organic. In the distance, twin suns hung low on the horizon, one amber and one pale blue, casting everything in surreal dual shadows. After what felt like hours, the fortress emerged from the violet mists. It wasn't built so much as grown, towers of crystalline material spiraling upward, connected by bridges that seemed too delicate to support any weight. Guards in flowing armor watched their approach with faces hidden behind translucent masks. "Welcome to your cage, human," Sora announced without looking back at him. "Try not to disappoint me too quickly. I have many questions, and you have all the time in the world to answer them." The servant's observation. The quarters Sora assigned him were smaller than his ship's storage bay, for walls of translucent violet crystal that somehow maintained a constant temperature, a sleeping platform that molded itself to his body when he lay down, and nothing else. Dr. Chen had been here for 23 days, he kept count by scratching marks on the inside of his belt, hidden from view. Each morning, guards with expressionless faces came to escort him to Sora's chambers. There, he performed tasks that seemed designed to humble him, polishing her ceremonial blades, organizing her collection of star charts, preparing the flowing robes she wore when not in armor. She barely acknowledged his presence, treating him like a particularly useful piece of furniture. But Dr. Chen was a scientist, observation was his nature. He noticed how her jaw tightened when messages arrived from the High Council, sealed in cylinders of amber crystal. He saw how she stood on her balcony for hours, staring out at the violet wilderness as if searching for answers written in the alien landscape. He watched how her fingers would drum against her thigh when she thought no one was looking, a tiny crack in her perfect composure. "Why do you do that?" he asked one evening, breaking the silence that had stretched for hours. Sora's head turned sharply, her silver-gold eyes narrowing. Do what, human? Stand out there like you're waiting for something that will never arrive, Dr. Chen continued, setting down the blade he'd been polishing. You're the most powerful person I've met on this planet, yet you look like you're searching for an escape. For a long moment, he thought she might punish him. Her hand moved to the control band on her wrist that could activate his restraints from anywhere in the fortress. Instead, she said quietly, "You observe too much for a servant." "I'm a xenobiologist, remember," he replied, meeting her gaze steadily. "Observation is literally what I was trained to do." Something almost like amusement touched the corner of her mouth before vanishing. "Was trained to do, now you polish weapons. Still doesn't turn off the part of my brain that notices things." Sora turned away, but not before he caught something in her expression. Vulnerability perhaps. "The council wants me to execute you," she said suddenly. "They send me reminders every third day." Dr. Chen's blood went cold. "And will you?" "I haven't decided," she answered, but her voice held an uncertainty he'd never heard before. The day everything shifted began like any other. Dr. Chen was following Sora through the fortress's eastern wing, carrying a case of ceremonial items for some council function, when screams echoed from the garden level. Sora moved like lightning. Dr. Chen had never seen anyone run so fast. He dropped the case and sprinted after her, following the sound of her voice calling a name with genuine fear. "Isabel, Isabel, don't move." The scene made his heart stop. A girl who couldn't be more than 10 years old, with the same violet skin as Sora but lighter, almost lavender, stood frozen on a bridge of living crystal that spanned a chasm. The bridge was cracking, hairline fracture spreading with audible pops. "Sora," the girl whimpered, tears streaming down her face, "I'm sorry, I just wanted to see the echo flowers." "Stay exactly where you are," Sora commanded, but Dr. Chen saw her hands shaking. The bridge was already failing. It wouldn't support Sora's weight, not in that armor. Dr. Chen didn't think, he ran. His lighter human frame let him move faster across the unstable surface. The crystal groaned beneath him. He reached Isabel just as the center section gave way, grabbed her with both arms, and threw her toward solid ground where Sora caught her. Then he was falling. An iron grip closed around his wrist. Dr. Chen looked up to see Sora flat on the remaining bridge, both her hands locked around his arm, her face contorted with effort. Her armor had retracted somehow, leaving her in just her undersuit. "You fool," she hissed, muscles straining as she hauled him upward, "you complete and utter fool." When he finally scrambled onto solid ground, Isabel threw herself at him, sobbing thank yous into his shirt. Sora stood apart, breathing hard, her usual mask completely gone. She looked shaken, almost fragile. That night, she came to his door, the first time ever. "You saved my sister." Her voice was different, softer, almost uncertain. "Of course I did," Dr. Chen replied, still feeling the adrenaline in his veins. "She's a child. You could have died. So could you, when you caught me." Sora stepped into his small room, studying his face like she was seeing him for the first time. "Tell me about Earth customs," she said quietly. "How does one properly express gratitude?" Dr. Chen smiled despite everything, usually with words. "Thank you works pretty well." "Thank you, Dr. James Chen." She tested his full name carefully, like something precious and fragile. "Perhaps you are not entirely as weak as I believed." Forbidden connection. The nights became theirs. Sora started appearing at Dr. Chen's door after the fortress grew quiet, at first standing awkwardly in the doorway as if unsure she belonged there, then sitting on the edge of his sleeping platform while he occupied the single chair. Eventually, they sat together, close enough that he could feel the cool energy radiating from her violet skin. "Tell me about water," she asked one night, her silver-gold eyes reflecting the soft bioluminescence of his walls, "not the frozen kind we have here, but the oceans you described." Dr. Chen leaned back, remembering. "Imagine standing on a beach, sand under your feet, warm from the sun, the water comes in waves, rolling and retreating, it's never the same twice." He watched her face as he spoke, seeing wonder there. "The water is warm in some places, cold in others, you can float in it, let it hold you, taste the salt on your lips. It sounds," she paused, searching for words, "alive." "It is, in a way," he said softly. "Everything on Earth feels alive, even the air. warm and full of moisture, not thin and sharp like here. Sora reached out slowly, hesitantly, and placed her palm against his chest. Her eyes widened slightly. "Your heart," she whispered, "it beats so fast, so warm. We don't have that, not this intensity." Dr. Chen held very still, barely breathing. Her hand felt cool through his shirt, but not cold, more like evening air after a hot day. "May I?" he asked quietly, gesturing toward her. She nodded, and he placed his hand over her heart. The rhythm was slower than his, steadier, but unmistakably there. "You feel plenty," he murmured, meeting her gaze, "you just hide it better." "I was taught to," Sora said, but she didn't move her hand away. "My father believed emotions were weakness. He ruled through fear and absolute control. When he died, the council expected me to be the same, cold, unshakable." "And are you?" Dr. Chen asked, though he thought he knew the answer. "I don't want to be," she admitted, her voice barely audible. "When I'm with you, I feel something I thought I'd trained myself out of, something warm and terrifying, and I don't even have a word for it in my language." "We call it hope," he offered, "or maybe longing." "Longing," she repeated, tasting the word. "Yes, that fits." The space between them seemed to shrink without either of them moving. Dr. Chen could see the patterns in her violet skin now, subtle variations in shade like watercolors blending. Her midnight hair fell forward as she leaned closer. "This is forbidden," Sora whispered, but she didn't pull away. "The council, my people, they would never accept." "I know," Dr. Chen replied, his heart hammering. "We can stop, if you want." "I don't want to stop," she breathed, and closed the distance. Her lips met his tentatively at first, cool and soft. Dr. Chen responded gently, letting her set the pace. Her hand slid from his chest to his shoulder, gripping him as the kiss deepened. There was an inexperience in her movements that made his heart ache, as if she'd never allowed herself this kind of intimacy before. When they finally broke apart, both breathing harder, Sora rested her forehead against his. "Is it always like this?" she asked, "this feeling, like I'm burning and freezing at the same time?" "When it's right, yes," he said, his hands finding her waist. "Sora, I..." "Don't say it yet," she interrupted, her fingers tracing his jaw. "Let me learn this first, learn you, before we name what this is." So they explored this new territory together, night after night. She came to him, each visit lasted longer than the last. They talked about everything, his childhood in Earth's sprawling cities, her isolated upbringing in the fortress. They shared fears and dreams. He taught her human gestures of affection, how to hold hands, how to rest her head on his shoulder, how to kiss with growing confidence. "The council is suspicious," she told him one night, lying beside him on the sleeping platform, her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat like it was her favorite music. "They notice I haven't executed you, they're questioning my judgment." Dr. Chen ran his fingers through her midnight hair, marveling at its silky texture. "What will you tell them?" "I don't know," she admitted. "The law is clear. Humans are considered contamination, a threat to our genetic purity." She tilted her head up to look at him, vulnerability written across her features. "But you've contaminated me, Dr. James Chen, and I find I don't want to be purified." He cupped her face gently, his thumb brushing her cheekbone. "We'll find a way," he promised, though he had no idea how. "Tell me again," she whispered, pressing closer to him, seeking his warmth. "Tell me about the warm rain." So he did, painting pictures with words of Earth's gentle storms, of standing in summer rain, of the smell of wet earth and growing things, and she listened, her cool body gradually warming against his, her breathing synchronizing with his, her walls coming down piece by piece. In those stolen hours, Princess Sora, first shield of the Violet Throne, was simply a woman learning what it meant to feel, and Dr. James Chen was a man falling helplessly in love with someone from another world. But morning always came too soon. The council's judgment. The summons arrived at dawn, sealed in black crystal. Dr. Chen knew what it meant before Sora's face confirmed his fears. "The High Council demands your presence," she said, her voice carefully controlled, "and your execution." The council chamber was vast, carved from a single piece of violet crystal. 12 figures sat in elevated seats, their faces stern and ancient. Chancellor Kai presided over them, his expression carved from living contempt. "The human represents contamination," Kai declared, his voice echoing. He weakens our princess with his emotions, his warmth, his humanity. He must be eliminated before he spreads this disease further. Dr. Chen stood in crystalline bonds. Sora sat among the council in full ceremonial armor, her face revealed nothing. Princess Sora, Kai continued, as his captor, the honor of execution falls to you, end this now. The chamber fell silent. Dr. Chen's heart hammered. After everything they'd shared, would she actually? No. Sora's voice cut through the tension like a blade. The council erupted, voices overlapping in outrage. You dare defy this council, Kai shouted. I invoke the law of bonded protectors. Sora stood, her presence commanding absolute attention. Dr. James Chen has proven his worth through sacrifice. By ancient right, I claim him as mine, completely, irrevocably. Kai's expression darkened. The bonding ritual has not been performed in 3 centuries, it requires complete vulnerability, public declaration. Do you understand what you're asking? I know exactly what I'm asking. Sora's gaze never wavered. We will complete it tonight under the twin moons, unless the council wishes to challenge laws older than this fortress itself. Checkmate. The council had no choice. That evening, Sora came to his quarters wearing flowing robes instead of armor. Her midnight hair hung loose, and she looked both beautiful and terrified. You didn't have to do this, Dr. Chen said softly. Yes, I did. She took his hands, her cool fingers intertwining with his warm ones. The ritual is intimate. We must share our deepest truths under the moon's light. They will judge if our bond is genuine. They walked to the plateau of witnessing where Azuratha's twin moons hung full and luminous. The amber and blue light painted everything in surreal colors. The entire court gathered in a circle around them. Sora arranged 2 cushions facing each other. They sat, knees touching, hands clasped. I begin. Sora's voice carried to everyone present. I fear becoming my father, cold and cruel with a truly frozen heart. He taught me that emotion was weakness, that love was a disease. I'm terrified he was right, that I'm already too broken to feel anything real. Her voice cracked, and Dr. Chen saw tears sliding down her violet cheeks. You're wrong, he said firmly, squeezing her hands. I've seen your heart, Sora, when you caught me at the bridge, when you talk about Isabel, when you ask about Earth like you're starving for something more than this isolation. You feel everything, you're just brave enough to hide it. And you, she asked, her silver gold eyes shining, what do you fear? That I'll always be an outsider, Dr. Chen confessed, never violet enough for your world, too changed to return to mine, that I'll love you completely and you'll wake up one day remembering I'm just the weak human you captured. You're not weak. Sora leaned forward until their foreheads touched. You're the strongest person I've ever known. The twin moons blazed brighter above them. The gathered crowd gasped as light enveloped both figures. Sora closed the remaining distance, her lips finding his in a kiss that started tender but quickly became desperate, passionate. Dr. Chen wrapped his arms around her, pulling her close, feeling her cool skin warming against him. She melted into him, all her careful control finally breaking. When they separated, both breathing hard, the light from the moons had woven around them like threads of amber and blue, binding them together. The bond is sealed, Chancellor Kai announced reluctantly. They are one. War and choice. 3 days of peace, that's all they got. The messenger stumbled into the council chamber, armor scorched, blood freezing on his wounds. The Obsidian Kingdom has discovered the human's presence. King Cooper demands his surrender within 2 days or he marches with 50,000 warriors. The council erupted in chaos. Kai turned to Sora with barely concealed satisfaction. Your human has doomed us all, princess, surrender him and we may yet avoid annihilation. No, Sora's voice rang out. You would sacrifice our entire civilization for one human, Kai demanded. Dr. Chen stood. I'll go, I won't let your people die because of me. You're not going anywhere, Sora gripped his hand, we face this together. Dr. Chen's mind raced with his scientific training. Wait, the Obsidian Kingdom, they're carbon-based like you but denser, right, more vulnerable to certain frequencies. What are you suggesting? Chancellor Kai asked skeptically. I'm suggesting we don't need war, Dr. Chen explained quickly. My ship's communication array, if we can repair it, can broadcast at frequencies that would be painful to Obsidians but harmless to Azurathians. Not a weapon, a deterrent. combine that with diplomatic negotiation. You would help us, Kai said, surprised. This is my home now, Dr. Chen looked at Sora, these are my people. They worked through the night, Dr. Chen and Azurathi engineers rebuilding his ship systems. Sora stood by his side, translating technical concepts. When King Cooper's forces arrived at the borders, they were met not with armies but with Sora, Dr. Chen, and the activation of the frequency deterrent. The negotiation lasted hours. In the end, Cooper agreed to a treaty. The human would stay, under Azurathi protection, and regular diplomatic exchanges would begin between the kingdoms. Later, on Sora's balcony under the twin moons, she wrapped her arms around Dr. Chen from behind. You saved us, she murmured against his shoulder. We saved each other, he corrected, turning to face her. I love you, Sora. I know I'm not supposed to say it yet, but I do. I love you too, Dr. James Chen, she smiled, genuinely smiled, my warm, brilliant, beautiful human. They kissed as the moons rose higher, two souls from different worlds, bound together by something stronger than law or tradition. Love. The end.